Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Was it yesterday morning we were having all the trouble too? I mean, as far as getting videos out, we've had a lot of trouble, but yet we did get 3 videos done yesterday. We were actually making a fourth, and this video would have been out last night, but we couldn't get it to take. We do have a new computer. Again, there's all sorts of technical things going on out there in this world.
And it is forever unfolding and growing and becoming more prevalent to people.
And with videos again being removed on a regular basis or age restricted over on the Evolutionary, and the possibility now to upload directly to Patreon. We put a video up only on Patreon. It didn't go up on any other place yesterday, 15 hours ago, according to this. And, again, we want to thank our Patreons for your support because you do keep us going in this time of demonization. Absolutely, it is demonization. And it is rolling forward. So Evolutionary, EEARTS, Heart's Home, I hope you are subscribed to all those or are watching us over on Rumble, Brighteon, and Bitchute as well, or Ko-Fi. And Ko-Fi is also a wonderful place that's been good to us. So let's listen to Kamala Harris.
When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population, more of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
Did you catch that?
When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population,
that part right there.
And electric vehicles and reduce population.
She said it.
And reduce population.
It's, again, there's a term. It's called a Freudian slip. Now, the White House came out and did a little correction. Okay. Reduced pollution. Sure. I just think there's a little glitch going on that gave us a blurb of truth.
I know, I think it's more a blurb of truth than anything else.
That famous video that we reference many, many times, which gets harder and harder to find, with Gil Bates, when he says, well, if we do a good job with certain things, including ouchies, it's the same thing. We'll reduce the number by maybe 15%. Yeah. It's all getting pretty obvious now. And this is like when they start shutting us down because, they can turn on smart TVs, smartphones and stuff remotely. They can also turn them off, and they do. They absolutely do. So, good morning. Solar activity moderate levels once again at M-class flare 2.9. Detected around AR 3363 at 741 UTC. Produced a fairly narrow coronal mass ejection that appeared to be headed to the southwest. ARs 3363 continued to elongate in area, all the while gaining some magnetic complexity. So, it's been shooting off these little flares. And, the guides have said again, every time, even if it doesn't come and directly impact Earth, it's still affecting our consciousness. So we can see, little. These have not been big at all, but yet it still is affecting us. And we are shifting into that new era.
And you can look for changes around the solar plexus. Sense of self is where we're having adjustments right now.
So you see, there was a 6.3 over in Chiapas, Mexico. Now, this is down close to the border with Guatemala, so fairly far south. There's been a lot of curious activity and also inactivity when we look at the quake situation. It's been pretty quiet, really, along the San Andreas and Cascadia as far as any large ones. There was a 4.6 off of Bandon, Oregon. And there was also a 4.2 up here in Lima, Montana. very near Yellowstone. As we see activity, I expect it, again, is going to produce some rather major activity within maybe the next, next year. Russia, explosion and casualties at the world's largest nuclear enrichment facility. So again, enriching uranium in this way, again, weapons grade uranium, obviously we all know what that is for. The fact that there was 2 different events that happened within a day's time is more than curious. It's pretty obvious, these are some sort of an attempt to spread a little radioactivity around the world, as again, what we have shared is they will not be allowed to do what they've done before in the past, as there is evidence in multiple locations around the globe. We've talked about this before, but for you that have missed it, of major radioactive events that could only be described as some sort of, well, it really looks like warfare of a nuclear sort has happened on the Earth in the past. And there are descriptions of it, as we see here. So, over 100 people were actually injured. One person lost their life here. And one of these was in the Ural Mountains. The other one was in between the Caspian and Black Sea. As you see over here, the Ukrainian regime hit Kurchatov. And they were talking about how Zaporizhia has been a target over in Ukraine, but nothing has manifested over there. CETA says we better still, stay alert to this. But again, they are obviously trying to spread radioactivity of sorts over in this area. And Ukraine has been traditionally a breadbasket. And of course, there still is depleted uranium being spread over the area as we speak. Russia says the West is sponsoring nuclear terrorism after these drone strikes that they blame on the Ukraine. And, again, when we get down to it, all these events we see are part of a much larger plan. As you see, if you're a World War II historian, this looks awfully familiar, this particular form of a cross. And here we see kids being rounded up, pulled away from their, well, I view them as kids. Maybe there's anywhere, who knows where the age starts. But they are being pulled off and brought into military, they would say military service. But the reality is, and more people are waking up to this, it started really in Vietnam. When you think about it, the people that protested and started to catch on to the fact that these wars aren't what they say. They're not at all what they say they're about. And again, we know, just look at the events, and truly you would have to be sticking your head deep in the sand to not recognize that this has all been telegraphed for a very long time. And forcing people to go and kill other people is totally demonic. And we're waking up now. This is the difference. 80,000 American troops in Europe. And in here, they're saying Kirby, who was talking, just inadvertently admitted that Ukraine's army is gone. Well, it's going to another step now. We've also heard Biden slip and say, again, are these slips, or is it an admission of truth and kind of like letting you know what the plan is? Because they want to escape their karmic retribution. That, well, we're dangerously low on ammo. And yeah, it's all about depleting everything. Depletion. Deplete people's energy. Their energy reserves. Wear them down. So they'll accept anything. This is exactly what's going on right now. This is exactly what we're seeing out there. Because the next step is, obviously, and by the way, with the 2 Nordic countries joining NATO, that makes 32. If Ukraine's next, that's 33. And I mean, you couldn't get any more symbolic, right?
Definitely, yeah.
And meanwhile, they're deploying armor vehicles once again. Hey, it's Saturday. It's Saturday. Let's deploy the half tracks, the tanks down in the middle of Paris or Marseille, over here. Yeah, if you're really working for the people, why do the people for gosh, how long now? Going back to the yellow vest protest, it's like every week there's major protests going on. Obviously, humanity doesn't like what's happening around the globe on the whole. These are the biggest arms importers in the world, and Qatar is actually the biggest arms importer. Saudi Arabia was for a long time. India actually is importing a lot of arms as well. You can see here's Ukraine, all that money going into Ukraine, all those things just being given. 8.3%, Saudi Arabia here at 7.1%, Kuwait 7%. Again, when you look at Qatar and you look at Kuwait, these are tiny little countries. Tiny. Yet there's definitely a lot of wealth over there, and they are arming as well. But I do feel that the financial center for the NWO is going to be over in that area, as we'll have a new system soon. This is what they're banking on. And this is what they're rolling out so fast. They really are. They're not going slow. Even though so many people have woken up to what's going on, it hasn't slowed them. They just ignore the fact that people are talking bluntly about what's going on. UN orders banks worldwide to mandate digital IDs. Yeah, you will not be able to use the banking system. So again, at some point, how are you going to pay your mortgage, or how are you going to get your money from your job? They are absolutely strong arming. Listen to Maxine Waters if you can tolerate it.
It's become a dirty word for corporate America. It's gotten so politicized.
It certainly has gotten politicized, and it's unfortunate because it's inevitable that everyone is going to have to participate in dealing with the environmental crisis, social activity, and of course, corporate governance. And so even if these attempts to deny or to delay are taking place, in the final analysis, we're going to have ESG. And so, yes, we're paying a lot of attention to it. We're going to fight back against these attempts to deny or destroy the whole idea of environmental, social, and governance. But we have to do it in order to save this planet.
Yeah, that's what they say. The reality isn't save their power structure is why they are doing it. So if you somehow thought that there's no way that the CCP-style government could come to our home, this is what they're completely instituting. Yeah, and they're not even denying it anymore. Really, they're not even saying, "Oh, that's just a conspiracy theory." No, they're just saying straight out in your face, you could attempt to slow it down or whatever, but it's not going to work, and we are instituting it. And they're going to institute it again through the financial system. And their excuse is the climate crisis. And the reality is Operation Popeye. They can manifest whatever they want to manifest. Floods here, droughts there, heat waves here, cold, freezing cold there. They have the technology of the planet at their fingertips. Is your butter safe? Okay, good. We're still rolling. For a minute there, it seemed like it was locking up on us again. Forever chemicals found in 8 brands of butter wrappers, but I can't move this particular tab. They don't want this getting out. So even if we buy organic PFASs, which are chemicals harmful to human health, it's in the wrappers. The food might be organic. The wrappers, basically are putting this toxin, this forever chemical, into our bloodstreams. This is part of how they lower the life expectancy of humans. Object has been seen in the sky of northwest Iran. It looks a lot like a TR-3B. So air defense was used to try to shoot it, but nothing worked. That looks like a stationary light, but there's instances where you could see a triangular shape to it. And it's interesting, too, because multiple sources talking about it and people speaking in the native tongue saying this was wild, this was crazy. It feels like Orson Welles' War of the Worlds. What's going on here? Again, we know TR-3Bs are military. And the thing to realize is, yes, you have humans with reptilians on many of these ships working with extraterrestrials. And it is going to come out. And again, there's one disclosure event after another coming out at this point.
And this one is really, well, I mean, it's not fun, but when I see this, I can't help but go back to Nostradamus's quatrain about, and the gods shall have a great war, and they're going to show off their toys, and it's look in the sky, and gosh, I think it would be fun to go back and look at that quatrain, because I think this is where we're at now. And this was really cool because I saw the roof on that thing, and I'm like, gosh, it kind of looks like a computer board, doesn't it?
The question you really got to ask yourself, and people will look at something like this and say, oh my God, that is just gorgeous, which it is. Look how intricate it is. It's amazing. But why would you make a ceiling that's like 100 feet tall? Why? There is no reason. Well, they just wanted to make it grand. They just wanted to show what they could do. Yeah, but wouldn't you make it on a normal human scale unless you might have had visitors that were far larger than normal humans? Now, I don't know if that's 100 feet, if you take the average person being somewhere around, 5 foot whatever. It's at least 60 feet. And if you look at those doorways, they got to be at least, 30 or 40 feet. So, what if you really are entertaining people that are, 20, 25 feet tall, something like that? But most Anunnaki are more around the 12 to 16, in that range. And, of course, there's many different races of beings. And there are some that are very, very small instead of very, very tall. But absolutely, this was done to entertain more than one race.
Mm-hmm. It was. And it's really beautiful. It's something to behold. But I'm looking in there and I see the sound waves, how they bounce off that is very specific, and how it holds people in the 3D. I think it's some form of healing mechanism as well.
Very cool. And look at this. Is this an ET? Whoa. Is it ET in the water? No, it's just a fish. It's just a fish. But again, what is a fish? We might think it's just, something that doesn't have a soul. But no, of course. Everything is consciousness. Everything's part of the universal consciousness field. And it's just operating in a different vehicle. Albeit the eyes are freaky on this one, are they not? And she's fixing the world. She's doing her part. We can do our part too. But in this world, if we really want to do our part, it's most definitely not complying with the mandates of a system that's all about destroying the world, because that's what they do day in, day out.
And I look at this and I feel so strongly her belief is the strongest point in this whole picture. If she believes she is saving the world, then she is. And that's where we need to look at our belief systems and our structures and our understanding. And, check that. Make sure it's pointing in the right direction. Hers is.
Absolutely. As always, guys, thanks for your support. Much love, God bless, and namaste.
Namaste.